Hi, I'm Selena from Annie's Bookstop of Worcester, and I'm here with Adora Winquist. And Adora is a nonfiction writer, and I'm going to let Adora tell you a little bit for readers unfamiliar with your work. I'm going to let you tell people about what you write.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Selena. It's a pleasure to be here with you, especially since you're in Worcester, in Massachusetts, where I've spent so much of my life and, in fact, lived not too far outside of Worcester in Hudson, Mass. For a number of years. But essentially, kind of going back along those lines, where I started my journey as a healer and as an essential oil formulator and as an entrepreneur was actually in Massachusetts, in Cape Cod. And so I started first studying hands-on healing with Reiki. And my first class was in New Hampshire, which is such a beautiful area. And when I received my first attunement, I started to see colors around people. And I was shocked and also amazed. And I thought, I really want to experience more of this. And so I started using Reiki on myself and then anyone in my family that was open to it. And I saw really significant shifts from an emotional perspective, from a mental perspective, and of course, from the perspective of our physiology and physical health and well-being. And so I started to study a number of forms of energy medicine or vibrational healing, while at the same time, I started to work with plant medicine. In fact, I have a bit of a funny story of how when I was first living on Cape Cod, I was 19 and I didn't have a lot of money and I didn't have health insurance. And every year I would get bronchitis twice a year brought about by allergies. And I was really quite sick. And because I couldn't afford to go to the doctor and get medicine, I was really at a loss. And somewhere I heard something about herbs. And I went to a store on Cape Cod, forget the name of the town. And I think it was outside, like near Chatham, and bought 5 different herbs: hyssop, thyme, eucalyptus, licorice root, and fresh ginger. And I went home and I made a tea, and I was amazed by how quickly I healed. And since then, many moons later, I still have not had bronchitis. In fact, I get so many queries for that formula, I included it in the book. It's in the Heart Activate chapter of the Detox, Nourish, Activate book.
Okay.
Um,
Can we stop here for a second? Can you tell people exactly what your book is now? Can you?
Yes, definitely. Sure. So the title of my book is Detox, Nourish, Activate, Plant and Vibrational Medicine for Energy, Mood, and Love. And it's co-authored with my ally with the plants, Dr. Lulu Shemek, who is a naturopathic physician. And so it is rich with 11 different types of alchemical intervention, including essential oils, including herbalism, including nutrition and crystal healing, to bring balance and quantum levels of healing, holographic healing to and through our DNA. And so a little bit more kind of going back to that aspect of my journey. Once I started working with the herbs, I eventually found essential oils, and I knew that I was at home. There was almost a familiarity for me about working with the essential oils. And so I started mixing and blending and created my first essential oil-based business in the mid-90s on Cape Cod as well. And so my journey from there really expanded, starting a healing practice, many more products with that business that through the years changed names to Olbis Gaia and then Adora Therapy, which became a award-winning national essential oil company for blends known as for chakra balancing and energy clearing, which was really in such a alignment with my 2 passions, right? Essential oils, plant medicine, and vibrational healing. And my journey with vibrational healing then took me to the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which I attended and then graduated from also quite a few years ago, where I'm now an instructor for their Hands of Light workshop, which is a wonderful program and offering for those that are interested in the 4-year university, but maybe need and desire to know a little bit more about the potency of vibrational medicine. And so my journey has been, I would say, interesting in the sense that it's taken me to, this is my 7th state that I've lived in and also operated a business in. And it's also quite simple in the regard that it incorporates or focuses on the healing potency from the natural world, right? From the plant kingdom, from the mineral kingdom, because I do a lot of work with crystals. And then of course, from a vibrational perspective, whether I'm working with clients or whether I'm teaching a group facilitation or whether I'm doing my weekly meditation series.
Okay.
So, mm-hmm.
So what can readers expect from the book, from your book?
Great question. So when my colleague and I a few years ago started to discuss the idea of co-creating this book, we started to look at our own clients and, in her case, patients, to see what are the common threads that people are coming to us to find relief, whether it's from a chronic disease process or an emotional balance, or from those patterns in our life that keep repeating themselves, but not necessarily in the way that we want to see them manifest. And so what are these aspects from a subconscious perspective that are playing out in our lives that we're not exactly able to harness and modulate in the way that we want to? And of course, we brought our focus inward, right? Because I believe in one of the tenets of philosophy from the Brennan School is that you can only take your client as far as you've gone in your own healing journey. And so when I started to go through my own process of writing for this book, it was going through over 20 years of journals, of client notes, of formulas, of introspection from my own healing process, and going through all of the levels of self-awareness and self-understanding that arose for me during my own journey. And so it's rich with a lot of the, I would like to say, psycho-spiritual tenets of philosophy, esoteric philosophy, and then of course the wisdom from the plant kingdom, the wisdom from the mineral kingdom, and the animal medicine, spirit medicine too, as well as some beautiful aspects of sacred geometry and meditation and mudras. And so one thing we wanted to do was to make a guidebook that not put us in the perspective of being gurus, right? That shared aspects of our own journey of healing to invite that level of common ground, right? And of understanding that every one of us have had challenges or adversity along our path to the path of self-mastery, to the path of self-actualization. So how do we transform those places of deep trauma within us to be able to manifest our soul's deepest longings, to be able to actualize what we've actually come into this lifetime to not only create, but to experience and heal from? And so the book has a really beautiful aspect of discovery dives that everyone, the reader, can do at their own pace to look at places of trauma within. And one of the things that I like to call is the treasure map of our early childhood dynamics. And that treasure map has all of the aspects that we've come into this incarnation to be able to heal and grow and expand our awareness, and then ultimately expand our consciousness. And so it creates a pathway or illuminates a guiding way for the reader to be able to move through and detox, nourish, and activate. And one of the aspects that's really important about this, and I kind of liken it to imagine you go to your local health food store or Whole Foods, and you spend a few $100s getting the most delightful things that you know are going to nourish you physically, emotionally, in terms of your diet, in terms of your self-care, in terms of your nutrition. And you take them home and you open the refrigerator, but the fridge is filled and almost overflowing with rotting food. Right? So what benefit is all of this beauty and resource and healing that you brought home? Where will you put it? Right? Where is there space for it? And I know it's a bit of an interesting analogy, but I think it fits, because until we're able to look inside, be honest and authentic with ourselves first, and be able to let go of the places that limit us, right? Whether it's a belief system, whether it's memories from past trauma, whether it's emotional patterning or mental constructs or images that we hold that we believe we just can't be more, have more, right? Have more joy, have more vitality, have more success, have more abundance. So going in and being able to let go of the old ways creates the space for us to birth anew, right? To be able to then nourish the aspects of our being that are being called for love and self-care and deep compassion, and in many times forgiveness, and to bring that love inward, so then we can activate our soul's deepest desires and longings, those things that we've come into this life that really encapsulate the expression of our highest selves, or what I like to refer to as our quintessence, our essence, and that unique light and gift that only we have to bring to the world. And I firmly believe that each and every step along our journey has guided us perfectly here and now, right? To be able to distill those greater aspects of who we are with the light of divine consciousness, with the strength of the earth and all of the kingdoms of life and healing, right, from the nature intelligence, to help us co-create and transform our lives to one of thriving, right? To take those places where we're in survival mode and turn them into thriving, and what I like to call quantum living.
So what do you think would draw readers to these kinds of books? This kind
I think a deep desire for change. Okay. If you're feeling a calling within you where the things that you've tried haven't brought you the level of change or sustainable shifts that you're looking for. If you feel like you've tried everything and you're still repeating the same pattern, if you're deeply fatigued or in a place of heartbreak, or your mood is filled with more aspects of depressive energy or anxious energy or lack of clarity, right? And when we talk about plant and vibrational medicine for energy, mood, and love, it's really because we went through and looked at all of the aspects of our clients and ourselves to say, what are the three primary areas and drivers for a life that is thriving in terms of vibrancy and well-being and abundance? And so energy, mood, and love, which relates into energy with the adrenal system. So for the exploration on the adrenals, we have the aspects of detox, nourish, and activate, rich with 11 different types of alchemical interventions to support each level of that system. And then for love, coming into our heart space, being able to release patterns of grief, betrayal, heartache, loss, right? Where maybe we've had relationships that haven't served us in the highest way, right? And where we long to be deeply and authentically loved, seen, understood, embraced. I mean, we all long for that, I think, on the deepest levels. Mm-hmm. And so coming into the heart system from an energetic, from a physiological, from all of the aspects of psychodynamics, right, that interplay with that, are paramount to us having love in the deepest and most intimate and healthiest of ways. And then when we explore the areas of mood, it's connecting into the brain and connecting into the nervous system. Right.
Mhm.
And so if you look at these also from an energetic perspective, right, we're looking at the connection to the root chakra, our connection to the earth from the adrenal system. And of course, you know, we see so many people today with adrenal fatigue, right, with deep levels of exhaustion from not only the experiences, you know, we can look at the acute experiences of the past year and a half, but of stress, of chronic stress, acute stress, trauma, and of course, of the environmental stress that we all have, and the consummate juggle that we have to be able to make ends meet for ourselves and our family and for our loved ones, right? And so
Yes.
the adrenal system, I think, is certainly not embraced in discussion enough to be able to come in and bring the rich botanicals and essential oils and energetic nourishment that we so deeply crave and long for. And so I think from this perspective, anyone that feels like they have been traveling down this dead end road, or I like to say too, it's like, because I felt like this personally for many years before my own spiritual awakening, I was feeling a calling within me that I knew that there was something more. There was something more that I could experience in life. There was something more that I could be, even though I didn't feel that that was necessarily possible at that point. But somewhere within me, there was a voice, even though it was dim, it was quiet, right? I couldn't hear it as strongly as I do now, but it was there. And I think if we all listen to ourselves a little bit more deeply, we can all hear that voice.
Mhm.
And the more that we engage in ways that are honoring of ourselves and others, the louder that voice becomes, the clearer that voice becomes, because we all have a tremendous amount of infinite innate wisdom within us.
Okay. So what kind of research went into writing the book?
So
Think
that's a
about the
great
book
question.
itself.
Yeah. So again, my main research was going through 20 years of, gosh, so many journals of all of my notes and my personal experience from not only clients, but my own journey going through the study of all of these different modalities, and especially my time at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. And, you know, I think that there are some wonderful visionaries and thought leaders also in these fields, right? In the field of botanical medicine, in the field of aromatherapy, in the field of crystals, crystal healing, and many different aspects of vibrational medicine. So, and I would have to say that for me, the biggest key in unlocking my ability to write was being able to go in and listen to that voice within me. And when I would sit and write about the essential oils, I would go into that place of deep communion with my own inner wise one and listen for all of the information that came through. And that's how I wrote about all of those sections. And you know, the really funny thing was I can remember going through one of my journals from, gosh, at least 10, maybe 15 years ago, where I had a reading and told that I was going to write a book. And in that reading, a few times it was said, your journey isn't about as much as going in and reading other people's work on this field. Your journey is to go within and access and open that innate wisdom and ancient wisdom that you've carried through many different lifetimes. And so it was a process for me to be able to actually connect into that and trust my voice. And I think that's such a powerful teaching of the book, is that everything that we need to heal deeply is within us. And even if that's the point of magnetizing the allies and connection in our lives that can bring us through the next steps of relationship and healing and deepening our understanding and awareness.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the actual inspiration for this particular book?
So the inspiration really came from one of my clients, and it was actually a client and both myself and Dr. Lulu, who said, your work is really so extraordinary, and wouldn't it be wonderful if you came together and brought both of the aspects of wisdom and education and, you know, the decades of experience that you have, if you came together and wrote a book. And we both thought, gee, you know, we have such wonderful synergy. And Dr. Lulu's beautiful expertise in genetic health, and from a naturopathic perspective, and from a botanical perspective, and the physicality, which is so imperative to our sustainable healing, converged with my aspects of energetic and psychospiritual healing with the essential oils. Like, what a wonderful synergy, and which is one of the reasons that we talk about infinity or infinite healing. And you'll see throughout the manuscript, there's a number of infinity symbols. And this is really multifaceted, right? From our intention and purpose. One, to say, listen, we can't just get there from one pathway, right? We can't make these incredible quantum shifts in consciousness and our physicality and our emotional resilience and our mental clarity by taking just one of the pathways. And so the infinity healing is all about combining the aspects of what we need from a physical level, right? Clean water, exercise, nutrition, right? The remedies that have that biochemical aspect that we're working, right, with the plants, with the teas, with the tinctures, and combining that with the energetic aspects that work at bringing understanding to our subconscious patterning, that brings awareness to areas of trauma that we've experienced, not just in our life, but what we've carried through our lineage, through our DNA, generation by generation by generation. And all of the different aspects of vibrational medicine bring us to the convergence point in the center, which is that 0 point field of limitless potential and limitless creation. And so if you think of it from the perspective of our DNA, and each one of the trillion